very good morning, Major Shah, and welcome to the broadcast. You know, now China getting irked about how India is calling it out to be the biggest security threat is, something which is quite laughable. What do you think about this?
Riyanka, absolutely, and I think it is very, very obvious for the world, not just for India, to see that China is definitely a very, very big security threat, not only in terms of militarily, but in terms of their so-called biological warfare, their psychological warfare, their cyber warfare, their invisible invasion that they have been doing. So I think the world has actually seen what China has been up to. And when the defense ministry spokesperson comes ahead and takes an objection to what General Bipin Rawat has said, I think he is only proving a point. There is a saying in Hindi, Chor ki daadi mein tinka, which means they are guilty conscious. They are only trying to get defensive over here. They could have chosen not to have reacted to it altogether because even they know it is a fact, and China has been doing that repeatedly. You can see be it in Doklam, be it in Arunachal, be it in Ladakh, be it anywhere. They have been strengthening their military presence. They have also joined hands with Russia, and they are conducting joint military exercises. They are flexing their muscles. I'll give a small example. If somebody in your neighborhood is a bully, and if so-and-so is getting new firepower or new weapons and equipping themselves in their house, and you know that person's a bully, won't you worry about it? Of course you would worry. Similarly, General Bipin Rawat has only expressed his concern, and when China reacts to that, it only goes on to prove their guilt in that, Priyanka.
Right, Major Shah. China coming in and saying that India's comments is something which is, which is kind of irresponsible of India speaking of, such things, and they are also saying that these comments are dangerous. So, what is China actually doing, and versus what they're actually saying? And it's sort of a hypocrisy of China, which it always does.
China is not to be trusted one bit, not even one bit. Even in 1962, they came very swiftly and they said, "Indigene, bye-bye," and then they stabbed us in the back. And that's what they did then. Even they do that even now. So China is certainly, when they say it is dangerous, this kind of statement is irresponsible. It is not. Firstly, let me tell you, it is not. General Bipin Rawat has said nothing against China. All he has said is, he has expressed his concern over the activities of China, which is capable of going to any extent, doing anything. So I don't think General Bipin Rawat has said anything wrong at all. In fact, the whole world can see it. It's very, very transparent. It is China ultimately which is doing dangerous activities, and when they come forward and they say that, it is a dangerous statement, then that means they should only curb their own activities, no? Because the world is watching them.
Right, Major Shah, of course, the world watches upon China and its wrongdoings. Now, we also know that the Indian and Chinese militaries have been locked in a border standoff in eastern Ladakh since May 2020. And, it was a big impact on India and, of course, China, wherein India has, launched various, India-China has launched various diplomatic talks to solve the situation. But it still remains like we are on the page one of the story. What do you think about that situation and what China is coming out and saying that we are not the biggest threat to you?
Rinka, as you rightly said, that is a very, very big joke what China is saying right now, and it's transparent for the entire world. Now, when we have military-level talks with China repeatedly, we've had 13, 14 rounds and then further rounds, we have to understand one thing, one basic thing, that the people who are indulging in these military-level talks are themselves military personnel. They are, be it a high-level talk of a corps commander level, which is a lieutenant general, that's the second highest ranking officer of the Indian Army. But as soldiers, we are trained to fight. We are not trained for diplomacy or sweet talks or to while away time. No, we believe in action. We believe in executing. And that happens from both sides, from both the militaries. Now the military is going to cow down or back down on others' request. It would not happen. Unless and until there is a defense attaché, a military attaché who goes abroad for diplomacy in the embassy and talks diplomacy with them, which is not the case over here. So, unless and until it is documented, filed and kept on records which is our territory, which is Chinese territory, I see no solution coming out of it. I see placebo, yes. A small, that we have decided to de-escalate the situation. They will step a bit behind. They'll move behind finger so-and-so. We'll move behind finger so-and-so. That area would be no man's land. But that you can see on YouTube for the world, it's so transparent that, there have been n number of instances where the Indian Army, even the Indo-Tibetan Border Police for that matter, when I say Indian Army, I do not mean the Army as such, I mean our defense forces altogether. And the Chinese Rangers, the Chinese Army, the Chinese Defense Forces have come face to face. There have been standoffs where both are arguing, no, this is my area, we have to patrol up till that peak, let us go. No, as per my map, this is my land. This is going to persist unless and until we actually sit down, like on 4th July 1914 in Shimla. A high-level meeting was held in Shimla where the Shimla Pact was signed. And that time, in the entire 3,488 kilometer stretch of India-China, especially the McMahon line, with a small scale, on a small scale map, with a thickly pencil, a line was drawn. Now, obviously, that line, or if you go on ground, will go on to be over 1,000 meters, 1,000 kilometers, in fact. So, similarly, exactly, so there is no demarcation. And that is the reason China takes advantage of that fact. We are very, very peace-loving nation. We are very, very principled, disciplined people as far as our borders are concerned. But China knows also that they are at a disadvantage when their border is concerned. For example, the height, the altitude at the Indo-Tibetan border is such that when the Chinese aircrafts take off, they take off with only half payload of fuel, which means they cannot get the entire fuel inside their tanks. As a result, but obvious, the sortie time, the flying time will be reduced. So they have a disadvantage there itself. And they know, we are well aware of this. There have been instances where Chinese generals have written about the bravery and about the training of the Indian armed personnel's high altitude warfare. They're not that battle hardy. Yes, I'll give the devil the due. They are very technically sound and they are ahead of us as far as technology is concerned, no doubt. But basic, when it comes to basic soldiering, our soldiers are any day more battle hardy than them. They are more rugged than them. They are better prepared than them. So yes, we will give China a befitting reply, but this situation, we do not need a placebo for this. We need a permanent cure, Yanka, which would only happen through diplomatic and political talks, not just talks, but getting it filed on paper.
Right, Major Shah. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast and giving us all those updates and inputs on how we have to see this particular situation with China.